This is an off the cuff review. Just saw the Godzilla King of the Monsters movie, and I was very disappointed. It's terrible. It's bad. It's a waste of time and money. It's the worst sort of monster film. You see, a bad monster film is fun and exciting because you know it's kind of a passion project, and the people put time and effort into the acting. The costumes, the how everything looks, so that they can at least have pretensions of greatness. But then there's things like this movie, which is all the worst things. It's somehow worse than Pacific Rim Uprising or whatever it was called. And that was not a good film at all. It was like five films mixed into one, and it had no theme, no arcs, barely any character development. Godzilla was frustrating. Godzilla had very few memorable scenes. The only time it really took off is when they got rid of the human drama and stuck to the monsters, and that's barely a quarter of the film. It felt like, anyway. There was no tension, no development. None of the characters overcame their flaws. None of them ever really, like one sacrificed his life, and that's like, oh, that felt so good. That was a good scene. He like wakes up Godzilla. Godzilla looks at him, and they have this moment of connection because it's like, he was in the previous movie. He's like, let them fight. Sarazawa, that's his name. But then there's like the mother, Emma, I think her name was. And she was such a terrible character. It's like mommy, broke up the family, but mommy's gonna sacrifice herself after killing a billion plus people, and that's gonna make it all better. And the soldiers don't just like shoot her in the head. Like, it was astounding. It's like this woman is trying to burn the world. Nah, man, she actually cares for her daughter. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Like, how many memes can I bring up? Honestly, starting from the top, Godzilla just doesn't work. Honey, I like one of the first lines in the film spoken is like, honey, I broke up the family and I'm keeping you from talking to your father, even though he's improved himself immeasurably after losing his son and becoming depressed. But we're gonna do something else right now. Come with me. This is more important than your life. She goes in there. Turns out like, this is gonna be a very spoiler-filled review, just so you know. Like, I'm not even gonna mark it past this point. So if you want to see it for yourself and see how terrible it is, that's on you, man. That's on you, fam. Um, And then it's like, so she goes and she wakes up Mothra, and apparently she brought the villainous eco terrorist organization to Mothra, and so she gets captured. But the thing is, like, she couldn't just walk off into the forest or anything. No, she's got to kill all the people she's been working with for so long. She's got to kill this dude who's basically been working with her for years. And she has to do it in front of her daughter. She has to kill all these people who are working for her. It's evil. They wake up Mothra. They prove the Orca thing works. Blah de blah de blah. You know, it goes on. She wakes up King Ghidorah. It's like, Maddie. I know we're being threatened by the villain, but don't go to your father who has the drop on them and can help save you. You know, it's 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 one of those things. It's like, this is an irredeemable character. There is no spark of goodness with her. Oh, but she loves her daughter. She doesn't act like it. She acts selfishly. She cares more about herself and her ideals than her daughter for the entire time, but she realizes it. No, she doesn't. The daughter steals the equipment she needs, and she decides that, I guess I really need that equipment back. the main villain doesn't even care. He just stays in his bunker. He's like, man, it's all burning. I've succeeded. I don't care. He's more of a sympathetic character than she is, because he calls her out on her bullshit. It's, it's, it doesn't end. It just keeps going deeper and deeper for this character, this woman. It drives me bonkers. It's like, you know, I want to burn the world. And she made infographics, and she had animated cutscenes for it. She's been thinking about it and animating it. you know, you're mad. I'm quite sane. She's crazy. It was like, oh no, she's gonna survive the crash, and then she dies. Hopefully, if she doesn't die, I'm gonna be really, really not happy, because it's like, so you decide that you're gonna redeem this character out of the blue, even though she's the main villain of the series, in the human side of thing, anyway, in the movie, and it's like, yeah, but she redeemed herself and baited out King Ghidorah, giving Godzilla time to recover. Well, there wasn't any tension in the fight. The only time there was any sort of tension was when Mothra showed up, and she had her fight with Rodan and protecting Godzilla. Like, Godzilla shows up, he automatically curb stomps Ghidorah and rips off one of his heads. Oh, but he can recover. It's not that big of a loss. It doesn't matter. You know, you rip off enough of King Ghidorah's heads, he has to have limits, and we saw that limit in the end. So, the fights don't have tension. The monster fights, you show up and there's this CGI that's not even as good as Pacific Rim from however many years ago Pacific Rim came out, like 7 or 5 or something ridiculous like that. Uh, I don't even think it's as good as the original one, honestly. And they actually had the sense to hide it sometimes with fog and storms and stuff like that, but it's like, ugh. Sometimes the cracks in the skin is just weird. There's this weird scene where, like, Dr. Sarazawa's hand reaches out and touches Godzilla, and it looks CGI. Like, the person who's doing the background effects, like, the guy who's doing Godzilla did pretty good, but then it's like the guy who was doing the background effects just ruined it. And then the lighting guy decided, you know what? We don't need realistic lighting. We don't really need, soft lighting. It's all going to be hard lighting. And it just keeps going. Like, where's the dudes who worked on Pacific Rim, did the CGI for Pacific Rim? Like, sure, Guillermo del Toro is a master of that sort of thing, even though he's as cucked as they come. Where are they? They didn't have any weight. They didn't have any style. All it was just like things bashing at each other. The editing was garbage. You couldn't tell what was going on half the time. There was no adventure to it, no catharsis, no tension. Godzilla shows up, he fires a blast, he misses, and then he rips off, and then, like, Ghidorah zaps him, and then he comes back and rips off one of Ghidorah's heads. Like, what? That's clearly a kind of a win thing, and then Ghidorah's like, I'm out of here, and he gets out of there. The second fight with King Ghidorah, he drags Ghidorah underground, and if humans hadn't messed it up, um, Ghidorah would have been dead there. Just there, halfway through the film that felt too long. You know, just, yeah, man. You know, we killed him off on our own, own goal. Admittedly, the scene with the underground city was very cool. Dr. Sarazawa's sacrifice was absolutely fantastic, and Mothra was a gem every time she showed up. But then it's like, the rest of it, like, why is did they think that was okay? Like, okay, everyone's here for the monster fights. I know, like, half of Pacific Rim's time is like monster fights versus giant robots, but hear me out here. People aren't going to come for the giant monster fights. People want the human drama of an unlikable bitch who abuses her daughter and her husband, who she's clearly emotionally abusing, along with her daughter, uh, trying to burn the world. Like that's what people care about. No, 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 no. People don't care about that. People never care about that. Like those unpleasant characters deserve to be, annihilated with nuclear fire. Except not after making a sacrifice. They don't deserve to like. It's like one of those things. They don't deserve thematic redemption. Like just showing up and then belittling your ex-husband while he's trying to save the world verbally, and it's like, we got to do this together, and it's like, yeah, you got it? Yeah, of course I got it. It's like, yeah, I got it. And it's like, it was like so bad. It's like they never had chemistry. And I could believe that. But it's like there was no chemistry to work on it in the beginning and beforehand. Or there was no feeling to it, no sort of tension at all, no character tension, no growth. Uh, you know, well, he grew to hate Godzilla less. Just because he decided that King Ghidorah isn't a bigger threat doesn't mean he actually had any changes in his personality. He doesn't actually change. He's mostly the same person that he was before. He just doesn't go, we should kill them all. He goes, okay, we need to kill Ghidorah. And then, we can't really kill Godzilla, so nothing we can do, boys. He's a necessary evil. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing at all thematically. Recognize, like he doesn't have that connection that Dr. Sarazawa had. There's a scene on a sub, and it's like, oh, but there's that connection there. It wasn't a connection. He just like they just look at each other. There's no moment. He has this weird, like, he's like a discount Alec Baldwin. He has this weird, like, blank face he goes to every time they need a dramatic scene out of him, and it's like, oh, like, what can we do about this? It's 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 not good writing. It's not good directing. It's just not good. Yeah, man, I want you to look at something wonderful. Oh, what is it? It's Mothra coming down from the sky. I don't even think he got told. What is it? It's Mothra. Oh, okay. Or he has like Godzilla's looking at you. Don't move, guys. Or it's like, oh, sorry, mouth slightly open. It's it's just bad. The only character that had any sort of agency was the girl. I think it was Maddie. Yeah, I think it was that. And then the woman was Emma. And it's like, yeah, those were it's very frustrating to watch a movie like that. Like, what makes a good monster film isn't human drama. Nobody cares. Nobody comes for the human drama. In fact, it's often very poorly written. No, shut up. You're only there because you had sex with the director, or you actually got a lucky break. That's the only reason writers ever make it in Hollywood. Oh, but the Writers Guild of America is a joke and everyone knows it. Everyone knows that there's a million billion scabs, each one with a script worse or better than anything that those inbred writers could do. I could do better. Any of my writer friends could do better. So what are you gonna do? All right, I'm gonna start it off. We're gonna do an ancient scene where Godzilla and Ghidorah have a fight, and then it just sort of cuts out. Okay, they're gonna be fighting over a Sumerian city. It's gonna be real crazy. There's gonna be meteors falling from the sky. There's gonna be Mothra and Rodan in the background. It's gonna be a real hype opening. All right, what are you gonna do then? I'm gonna have Emma talk to somebody on the phone real briefly. It's like, yeah, it's today. It's today. Okay. Sorry, I gotta help my daughter," and then the daughter's burned the bacon just like in the movie. You go through there. We go through the same thing with Mothra, except we know that something's up from the beginning. Eh, Keep it going. They wake up Ghidorah. Instead of Ghidorah getting curb stomped by Godzilla, um, or having a back and forth for one round, you can't just do that with one round anyway. They actually have a pretty even fight. They actually do some, Ghidorah does some damage to Godzilla. Ghidorah could still lose a head, but like, you can't trust that people know what Ghidorah's powers are. You can't trust to know what Godzilla's powers are. This is the perfect way to demonstrate it. And they tried, but there was still no tension to it. That's the important thing. Maybe we could have it set up so that Ghidorah looks like he's, super skinny or something like that, or that he's regenerating during the fight after the explosions took down his ice wall. You go through that. You go through all the other stuff, except you take out all the human drama. It's like instead of having, it's like you're mad, keep that in there, but instead go, look, you blew up your family life, you blew up your friends. You killed your family. You killed your friends. And now look at it. You're trying to kill the world too. Instead of like having this weird moralizing thing, just tell her she's evil. Like it's simple, but it works. What? How dare you call me evil? You're killing 2 billion people at least. Like, of course you're evil. That's all you need. You've hurt Maddie, you've hurt me. You know, there's no good in you. But you hate Godzilla. Yeah, I hate Godzilla. He killed our son. But that doesn't mean I want to see everyone else die. I'm doing it for me. It's one of those things. It's like, she had a restraining order against him. You know that she took him to court. It's like it wasn't mutual. Not in the way they were acting. So it goes on. They have that second fight. Rodan shows up. Instead of having Rodan just curb stomped by Ghidorah, like actually have them fight. Like Rodan's fight with Ghidorah lasts 15 seconds, maybe a minute. Actually have Rodan, like they show him having a breath weapon. Use it against Ghidorah. It's not hard. If you're not like basically saying there's no limit to my CGI budget, you're not doing this right. It goes on. Um, Ghidorah calls up all the monsters. You need to have, like, definitely needed one fight between Godzilla and Ghidorah. But they detonated the nuke, which again was a good scene I just put in wholeheartedly. So it's like, yeah, he's gonna blow in a certain amount of time, and it's like, who cares? Who cares? Like that doesn't ratchet up the tension. Like the second they said that, I automatically knew, yeah, that's how he's gonna win. All they had to do was say his nuclear power, his radiation's off the charts. There's no telling what could happen. That would have been hype. It's like, oh my goodness, this isn't just your normal Godzilla. This is juice and Godzilla. This is Godzilla's been like hitting the gym, like snorting supplements. This dude, steroids. He's on meth. He's been edging for too long. There's literally no end of potential hype for this thing. Like it's it's hard to do it this badly. Like they have to be like, you know what? I don't want to spend what I need to spend on CGI for this movie, and they didn't. So you've got a terrible story that could have been improved with so few tweaks, which is just a little bit of thing. You had terrible editing. I don't have any real cuts here. I'm not one of those guys who likes to go through movies and it's like, you see this. I'm not trained. All I know is I didn't like what I saw. It had this and that, like bad characters, bad writing, bad dialogue, bad motivations. The main villain doesn't, the human Tyrion, no, Tywin Lannister doesn't even get his just desserts. He just sticks in his bunker. It's like You're just going out there to save your daughter? Cool. I already won though. See, you're doing it by yourself. And she had this moment where she like pulls a gun on him, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any tension. She's never seen with a gun in before. She loses it immediately afterwards. It might as well not even be there. He might be like, "Yes, you can go out, but it's on you." It's like, "Yeah, but she's willing to take a life for her daughter." No, she's already taken millions, billions of lives. She's killed billions. She's probably wiped out entire races of the humans. You think, even for a second, a coward like that can take a life? She freaked out the second things went off plan. She coldly looked at people she worked with for years and just let them die. And she never did an ounce of it herself. The only thing she ever did was press some buttons, send out some whale noises. It's not that doesn't make you a killer. It just makes you a murderer. And murderers, they're not warriors. They're not courageous. They don't have balls. They don't have fortitude. They don't have courage. They don't have anything. It just makes her character more pathetic. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna pull a gun out at you, and then like 10 of his dudes pull out a gun. This dude was like the best part of the movie. He calls her out. He as much as her daughter does, and he's like, yeah, you're a terrible person. You did this. You can't escape it. You agreed to this. This is mostly your plan. And she's like, well, yeah, uh, and then what? And then what? Like she goes out, he's in his bunker, he's safe. If he died in his bunker, what's the point? It's a nuclear fallout bunker. He should survive. Like, I'm not even mad that the girl survived. She should have died, but not like in the negative way, in the same way, but rather to ratchet up things. Um, so many people should have died. Sarazado's death was good. Mothra's death was great. Her fight with Rodan was actually really good. You could tell what was going on, you could tell what the motions were, and kind of what the stakes were. Whoever wins this fight helps the King of the Monsters, and it will hopefully turn the tide. Problem is that Rodan just went down like a bitch against Ghidorah, so no, there's no feeling there. Like he doesn't have any threat to him. He doesn't have any weight. It's like, yeah, but he killed all those humans. The woman killed humans. Like, it's like human life is cheap in this movie. There's no tension to human life. They start killing people, killing Marines, like in the second when they wake up Ghidorah. They it's it's frustrating. It's frustrating on every level, and I can think of these counter arguments. But Ben, it's a Godzilla film. I mean, the CGI. Look, I saw better CGI in the Ferris Bueller's Godzilla's Day Off film. Okay, Godzilla 1996 or whatever it was, which by the way had like the best Taco Bell toys. Just saying, Taco Bell used to have toys. They were fantastic. It's like, but Brian, how could you say that that film is better than this one? It had characters, it had stakes, it had weight, and it had tension, right? So you have Matthew Broderick's character and the girlfriend and her boyfriend and all the other things. And it worked together well. They had chemistry on scene. Matthew Broderick's a great actor, etc., etc. They had stakes. They had things, clearly defined things they want, and they had morals. But Godzilla was just wandering around. Sure, he didn't have to stick to. It's kind of arbitrary that he went to New York and not like Tokyo or something like that. But that's just something you just have to accept. The the fights with the army against Godzilla are absolutely amazing. There's several great shots of Godzilla jumping through buildings. There's several great shots of it reaching up. Such weight. Whoever did the CGI understood weight. Reaching up, biting a helicopter. Any time it had to move, it had such weight and speed and tension to it. It shows up, it looks around, it bites the fish. Like sure, the ending is a little bit ridiculous, especially with the gumballs. Like they didn't need that gumball scene. The gumball scene was stupid. I'm not gonna defend the gumball scene, but it's like the rest of it was fine. The practical effects and CGI was perfect. I've watched it and it stood up over the years, and I didn't have as much problems with any of the um, motivations or tension or characterization as any of these characters of the movie I just saw, and that was like in the 90s. Like I was a kid. It was amazing. Everyone's like, it's not a real Godzilla. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not the man in the suit, in the rubber suit, sweating his testicles off, you know, to fight another dude in a rubber suit while the director lights off fireworks under his feet. I'm sorry that Godzilla was brought into the modern age. I'm not going to say it was like a masterwork film here, but it was better than any of the Godzilla films but the first one, maybe the second one. Any of the Son of Godzilla films, of course it's better. That schlock isn't any different from Power Rangers tier stuff. Like sure, Ultraman, Power Rangers, they have a niche, and they're not bad. I actually really liked the one that they were in a space station, Galaxies or something. I can't remember. There was this dude, and like his son was killed by the main bad guy, but he doesn't know what to do about it. He's tortured about it, so he's an aloof ally. He's kind of their Green Ranger, blah, da, blah, da, blah, da, blah. But the thing is, it's not really depthful. It's got some kick to it, but it's still like kind of generic coffee, generic tea, But this is worse. This is worse. You have unlikable characters, you have bad acting, you have bad writing, you have bad tension, you have bad fight scenes, you have bad CGI. Like sometimes the CGI was really on point, like the sunken city, um, some parts of Godzilla's fight with Ghidorah, especially in the first one they had. That was pretty good. The second one was also not bad, but also you could barely see what you were seeing because of the ocean spray or the night. Mothra was too shiny, far too shiny. Like whoever was doing the lighting and design for Mothra, needed to really tone it down some and let us either see more of her and put more detail into it, because we get a lot of long lingering shots on Mothra's larval form, which is like the least important thing in the movie when it comes to the monsters. And then it's like then we barely get to see her as a moth. It's almost like they had budget limitations, and they spent it poorly. They spent CGI. CGI. There's these other monsters. There's this like Kong, mammoth. There's this xenomorph thing. There's this alien spider, and it's like I don't care. Rodan had expressions on him. He had character. He's like, "Oh man, I got bested up. Hey, buddy." You know, and then it comes together to make an unholy mess. I comment to others that like they needed to find the Pacific Rim guys. They needed this. They needed that. The funniest joke was the mother's relationship with her daughter, and then the second funniest is the Godzilla playing himself. Either way, it's not a movie I recommend. It's not a movie I enjoyed. It's just such a waste of time. And then there's scenes like Dr. Sarazawa sacrificing himself. The underground city, Ghidorah versus Rodan or something like that. That looks cool. At least it looks a little cool. But then it's like there's still no tension because we haven't actually established the Titanic fights. Compare it to Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim, you knew what you were getting into, you knew what was the stakes were, how much everything weighed almost. Like there was real weight, there was real style. They knew how to do lighting, they knew how to do timing, and it's all timing, it's all weight. Even the 19 whatever Godzilla one set in New York with Matthew Broderick got that right. And it's like the one everyone loves to hate. Yeah, man. Some of the best CGI that ever came out that decade is worse than a man in a rubber suit with bulbous eyes running around doing cute things with some Japanese kid who's phoning it in. Either way, I hope you pass on Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Check out Polygon Pictures CGI Godzillas; those are actually pretty good. A little bit too sci-fi with the alien things sometimes, but honestly, the payoff is worth it, especially in the first film. Second film's kind of okay. I haven't watched the third film yet, but that's more because I don't use Netflix than anything else. Um, yeah, check that out. Thank you for listening to my long-winded rant. There'll be interesting links down in the doobly-doo, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening.